Okay, hi, welcome all. This is Sheila Finkelstein, Treasure Your Life Now, communication and connection coach. I'm delighted that you're all here to the first session of the Magic of Shifting Perspectives. I'm going to give a brief overview. I'll try to be brief. And also would like, if you're willing to share what has you register for the program. And I don't know if you'd like to do that first or wait to hear what I have to say. Okay, let me overview you. For those, I guess everybody does know me in one way or another. Mainly, I've been marketing on the web for, since 2004, 2008. I have multi interests and talents: photography, art, painting, writing. And my bottom line purpose is really to help people believe and support people in believing in themselves. And using photography and writing has been a great access in my experience for myself and with working with clients, my clients coaching, even with children when I taught years ago. It was very rewarding. Several years ago, I got a couple of emails from students who found me on the web from elementary school when I taught them in fifth and sixth grade. And one who's an artist and actress and all kinds of things in Hollywood had written to me that she had just come across her yearbook and something from sixth grade, something I had written reminded her. Well, she would always talk about me when people asked how she got to be in the arts. And she said, from what I had said, it was a simple thing. She said, "You have no idea what it was felt like to be seen and known. So this is part of what I'm about, but not only that, you seeing and knowing yourself." So what we're doing here, I think some of you, Suzanne probably was in the program way back when that I did. And probably, remember there were a couple of other people. Somebody from Australia just wrote she couldn't make it in, but she was in that. Usually I have done 4-week programs all about photography, not about photography, but using photography. The first session, we would look around and do things and finding images. Then there was another session with specific colors in between weeks and a couple of other things. What I'm doing this time is kind of not collapsing, but giving your choice. This week, we're going to talk about seeing, using the camera, or whatever way that you can start noticing things in new and different ways. The next session will be about writing. So it's hearing what we're hearing, either our own mind chatter or other people are saying, and what we do with that. The third week I had planned to, and we'll see what happens, I thought there might be a larger group, is actually sharing what you've experienced in the previous 2 weeks. And with a larger group, or it got larger actually. And the point in that is that as we see and hear, just from, even if everybody's looking at one image, it can look different for several different people. And you're seeing it from different perspectives. And in seeing how people see what you see and you see what they, gives you more of an expansion. And also you can take this out into the real world where you're communicating with other people, if people are working or at home. And you've had the experience of having a light thing. So if you take, I'll show you some images later that you've picked up and seen, but I see a smile on an onion and somebody else to see something different. And you can start talking about it. It's totally non-threatening. But then, and then if you need to be getting into more serious conversation, you've had the experience of being in a lighter situation. And so it kind of frees you up for that. And you've also experienced, as you hear in this class and see in this, I don't even want to say class, in this group, being seen in different ways, it's easier for you to accept. And also, as you see what they're doing, you realize the multitude of different ways. One of the things I say in the, I recently put out 9 tips for effective communication, which is going to be added to in a couple of different ways. But the biggest thing I said was, we're all mirrors. We're mirrors to whomever we're talking. Years and years back, my boys as young teens came back with Florida with a calligraphy, and we never talked like this even, but they brought me back something that said, if only you could see yourself as others see you, you'd know how truly great you are. So in this program, I want you to start hearing that more from within this group and from outside this group. And I know there's one person in this group that may know well what I'm talking about. So and I was going to say, I lost my train with that. So anyway, be aware, oh, I know what. And then with my older son, I mean, he was younger at the time, I remember there used to be a lot of friction. So there's the positive. When you're acknowledging somebody for how he or she looks, or you're noticing a pattern or something, that's also something that you're seeing that out of what you like. You're acknowledging it, but that's also telling you about what you like more about yourself. When you're judging the person and making him wrong or her wrong or right, a lot of it comes from judgment about yourself. So I remember, much as I experienced and realized this many years later, that very often my older son was very much like me in a lot of ways. And I remember the times I would argue with him and blame him for procrastinating and do all of that. It was only years later that I realized I was really arguing with myself, or criticizing myself. So as we become more and more aware of these things in this program, and I think assuming it's going to kind of open you up a little bit more to conversations outside of this program, and look forward to you having different kinds of alterations, perhaps with relationship with yourself, and then with relationship with those people who are important to you. Okay, any questions or comments on what I've said thus far? Okay, Deb speaks silently. Looks like you said no, Deb.
Did. I said not so far.
And I don't even lip read. So, okay. I was writing a lot of notes, and I think that kind of goes through it. Okay, so let me go into some of the seeing. I'm going to do some screen sharing, and will actually send you links to these things. You forget, I'm sure you do too, how often we, how solid things have come. All right, well, this one cropped up first. So I see those people that know me know that I see things, I see faces and things. I see, oh yeah, this one's from Green K is not here. Okay, I see wood knots, and one of the things, two different things I'll show you. But if we set intentions, it's amazing how things have been cropping up for me since I started this. I mean, my banana pod, I'm now talking about transformation and opening up. And my banana pod, my banana plant that hasn't bloomed in several years, started blooming. And it's seeing different things. But the an intention, walking with an intention, I was in Julie's writing class, I think, and we had a prompt about from my heart to yours. And I went walking, or what I wrote in the scene there is or something, not knowing what I was doing, but I went out to walk, and looking for something to photograph. Wouldn't you know, it got to a point where I saw this heart, a reflection.
Mm-hmm.
in the water, that intention. I was reading something a few years, many years ago, and was talking about walking with intention. Like the first thing you see, have an intention to see that for another 15 minutes, wherever you go, like that's the only thing you see. Well, the first thing I saw was a bird dropping. And I don't know if it was this particular one, but I started, but this one came up, and that's the thought that came. And this, Deb, was in the, I was with Julie Jordan Scott, the time we were talking. I think we named that together. We don't say verbally happens, find the beauty. And so again, this is pointing out there may be times when you just want to attend, not make it happen, but if it's fits and see what comes up for you. Okay, I went through a lot of things. I don't want to be on Chrome. Chrome is, that's where my, okay, since I came onto here, just so you know, I'll give you links. I have a YouTube channel with a lot of videos. I went looking for my mushrooms and garlics and their slideshows, and I'll give you the link to that. There are different playlists. Costa Rica, if you go straight to the playlist, I have slideshow videos and other things like that. I have ocean videos, inspirational videos there. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so on the things, you see this blue? I don't know if any of you throw things in a closet when you're expecting company. I've created this cover so that you don't see my desktop and all the clutter on it. But what I don't see is where, oh, come on. Reopen all last windows from last session. Maybe I didn't do that. Darn it. I'm sorry. I thought I had this all.
Do you want us to share why we're here?
Yes. Okay, let me go through this quickly and then that would be great. No, okay, I'll pause, stop share for a minute. Yeah. So
I was just thinking while you were doing that, we could talk about why we're here.
Okay, go ahead. So why are you here, Suzanne?
I'm here because I'm always looking to have a clearer vision, things that I'm not noticing, things that I'm not hearing, things that I'm, just one of the reasons I particularly enjoy being with you, with photography. I've done photography class with you before, and just it helps me, it motivated me in the past, inspired me to really look and just see things that I hadn't noticed before. And I like the fact that we're going to go to all the different senses. It's very cool.
Okay, great, thanks. Anyone else?
I think you said that well, Suzanne. I share that, and it's, I think if one is in tune to that or wants to be tuned to that, then it's always inspiring to hear others and what they, that's how I have learned also. And I said once before, I think with Sheila, we both enjoy nature very much, but it's interesting, Sheila made me aware when I saw her pictures what she sees. It's interesting that I see it a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. But it had me open up this, to be more sensitive even, and it opened up a whole new focus added to how I would see it, so that, yeah.
Thanks, Ute. And Ute brings up one of the points I was going to. Those that you, I don't know, Deb, if you saw the video, I interviewed Ute. She went across country at 77 years old, And if you haven't seen the video, I strongly recommend it. And I thought when I invited Ute that we saw very much the same. And we do. And what I was reminded of as Ute was going through some of her pictures, there are two ways, and I invite you all to look at this, that I've discovered of seeing. Some people see the whole thing, look out and see the whole. And I first became aware of this years and years back. I mean, probably over 50 years ago, when I was in New York with my mother. We were sitting outside and she was looking across the street at the park and she was seeing all kinds of things, the big picture and the spaces in between the trees. I was just seeing the trees and then looking out. Now, I was reminded of it in one of Ute's pictures with the Antelope Canyon, where she was there and she was talking about roots and she was talking about the whole big picture. And the first thing I saw was the roots that were lying down like a lady with arms out and legs outspread. I mean, that's what caught my eye first. Now she saw that also, and then I saw the bigger picture. But keeping that in mind is also when we're communicating with anyone, you can look at that too. Are they looking at the small, not the small picture, but the single items or the big? So we can be more attuned to that. Okay, anybody else want to share why you're here or what you hope to get from it?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Ruth.
I hope to get from it the ability to see things from somebody else's point of view. As we all know, we don't all have the same point of view. And I have a very close relationship with all of my adult children, but some of their points of view I have a really hard time listening to. So I want to be more open to that. But I can see, just what we've said about seeing the whole or seeing the part, that applies to one relationship and with one of my daughters. And I hadn't looked at it that way before. It's good.
Okay, great. All right, Deb, did you want to say anything?
Sure. When I saw the description for this, what struck me is that it's magical because each person brings something special to the group. And I wanted to hear and to participate and partake of that because it's a unique group. We would never have coffee somewhere. We're all over the world, but we can do it here. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Where are you, Deb? Geographically.
I'm Southwest Ohio.
Okay.
Southwest.
Ruth's
I'm
in
Middle
Atlanta.
Ohio.
I'm in Ohio. North.
Did you say you're in the middle, Ruth?
Yeah, I'm in Columbus.
And then Uta's up further
here,
up in
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Outside of Cleveland, yeah.
We're out.
I went to Ohio State, but I'm in North Carolina.
Yeah, I went to Ohio State too.
Oh my goodness. Well, here I was thinking we were we are a diverse group. That
Well,
people were in lots of places. How about that?
Yeah.
Someone from Australia was supposed to be here, and so something came up at the last minute.
Ohio's a big state.
Yes, it is.
I went there to watch my granddaughter be great granddaughter ordained as a rabbi. That's my closest to Ohio.
Yeah.
Where are you, Gloria?
I'm between New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Florida.
Got it.
Right now, I'm in Florida, in Boynton Beach.
Yes.
And I just want to mention is all these 60 years that Sheila and I know each other. When I came down to Florida, I had no idea that she was living in Boynton Beach. It was a complete, yeah, that was really nice. Yeah.
Okay, you want to do a brief statement for the others while you're here?
Well, it's kind of a mixture. In a way, I relate to one of the ladies was talking about her family. So during this pandemic, what I've noticed since we're separated now, of course, from family, that my daughters became my mother and my son became like my daddy. and, and they're constantly giving me advice or telling me, well, you know, you really shouldn't drive there because, and it goes on and on. So I'm trying to show them all my independence, which I think is quite a bit, but they don't want to recognize. And just understand where they're coming from a little more. And maybe if I listen carefully, I'll hear other things that are coming from this advice that they're giving me. And so I'm looking forward to new revelations.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you all for sharing. Very helpful. So ordinarily at this point, I was going to briefly show you what I want to send you on how, because I'm going to collapse everything in Seeing. So if this were the first session of the 4-session course, I would have said, how'd you look at faces, discovering faces in light plates. As a matter of fact, I'm going to even ask you to take 30 seconds to look around you. You might, okay, I was talking about big, Ken and I were talking about picture and little. You can pay attention later to what you do, but I want you to just kind of pretend a lens and just look around so you can't see the full picture, but till something catches your eye. Now, when I talk about eye catchers, it can be anything, even a mess of wires. And I will say, take a picture. I have a thing, take 5 eye catchers to get out of a funk, and that gets you into a different space. Now, you're not looking or taking at the pictures for beautiful pictures or anything. It's just capturing what you see. So, okay, right now I'm focused on just my microphone and all the different stuff. I might take that picture. Looking at it, I might find other things in all that segment. So anybody find anything interesting in that little tour?
I had a jar of water and a ball next to it. Made it kind of interesting.
And did you see reflections?
It wasn't so much reflection as how it looking through the jar.
Okay, Ruth?
I saw a salt shaker on the other side of my kitchen that I would not have paid any attention to. But I realized that the shape of it kind of looks like a lighthouse. Just a different perspective.
Now, what did you say in the first place? What it was that you saw?
Salt shaker.
Oh, a salt shaker. Okay, got it. Okay, then I would say, and you can make note of things to be doing. I'm not going to give assignments, so to speak, but the next thing I would do in the class, and you can do this very quickly yourself. And I mean, we look at something yellow and see purple, the opposite colors and things. But if you want to close your eyes for a minute and just take the first color, I mean, think color and look at the color that opens up for you.
Oh, while we're still, okay.
Yeah, just color and see if you see a color.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, when you've seen a color in your eyes, make note of that color. You can tell us what it is. And I suggest during the next week, you take at least 5 pictures of that color. And you'll be surprised at what might be showing up for that color. I mean, in one of the classes, somebody still came up with gray, and then she was amazed at all the gray mailboxes she saw. So, you don't know, you'd be surprised. Somebody had in one of the classes wrote and she said, could she take it? She was in the theater. I think she saw pink. And she was seeing all kinds of pink lights, which she was afraid in the theater, you're not supposed to take pictures. Sure, you know, they're not going to notice pictures of pink lights, but so you'd be amazed at what might show up in relation to that.
Mhm.
Another fun thing and interesting thing, a lot of you, I don't know how many of you are walking outside in nature and even just in concrete, there are spots and cracks and different things. Start looking at concrete or wherever you're walking differently. I'm not look differently, but just be open. Maybe shadows, lights and shadows. You may see reflections. I mean, I one day came out of the doctor's office in the parking lot. I was suddenly caught with reflections in the taillights. So I started taking pictures of reflections in taillights. Ended up putting it together in a video and having fun with that. And so I'm like throwing out several different things to be looking at. So color, reflections, shape, just anything. I mean, just see, just eye catchers. I mean, just really pay attention to. Now, again, Ute's eye catcher is the big thing. Mine is the roots spread out. I'm suggesting look at, and Ute then focuses in. It's not that she doesn't see these things. It's what comes first for her. And there is no right or wrong. You might also during the week or something have fun with your children or something. Gloria, your daughter's into photography now and everything. You might see some things that are different and play with her with that. Never know what can kind of open up or just play with it. Then in the kitchen, when you're working, there's all kinds of interesting things that show up as you're slicing. I don't know if you saw my garlic clove. I'll show you a couple of other things that didn't look, amazed me, and I did a video of it because I have this, I'll show it to you, this garlic thing that I was cutting in the kitchen, and I put it out on Facebook, and I think there were 10 different people that responded, and nobody saw it as garlic cloves. Until the very end. And it wasn't, I was like the expression of it. So it's fun, and it doesn't have to be the garlic. When I went into her, one of the things I said, and you can start seeing, so I will show you and screen share when I was share. Now I think this is up now that I had organized. Okay, I told people to go to the store and take out the first vegetable or fruit that caught your eye. And it happened to be, although you can't take pictures in lots of stores, but this happened to have caught my eye the first thing. Who knew? But my assignment to myself was take a picture. Oh, it was a turnip. And I decided what I wrote about it was, and I'll send you the link if you want to look, it's maybe it had to do with my aging. And that was several years ago. Well, that was almost 9 years ago. I haven't aged, but writing about that. But then I played with it. I took it home, cut it, and then started playing with it. So what comes up? This, I think, was onions, and I went crazy with onions. Okay, so that's in your, and I have videos with pepper and gray hair.
Are you going to send, can you send us a link to,
I'm going to send you links
to your YouTube videos and all? Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm going to send you links to everything I'm talking about now, these PDFs and the things. Now, this was very interesting. This is Expand Your Vision When You Got Stuck. And I think this is the one that has that. Now, this happens to be a lamp. I looked up, and this was a lamp in a parking lot. The front was broken. And so I used it as a welcoming image. You might view it in a very different way. One of the things that was important in this one, and these were roots, flat, and this shows you, again, when you look at it in the image, you'll see there's a difference between seeing it vertically. I would think, well, you look and see, does it look totally different now, vertical and horizontal?
Yeah.
Yes.
It does. Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And then this was, I have done for years, a picture to ponder with self-reflecting queries. And I had this, just a fence walking at the end of a boardwalk, and it felt confronting. I mean, the picture, and I spoke about confrontation, and then I spoke about walking away from it and seeing the difference. Somebody wrote back about how, I'm not even going to tell you the story, you can look at it, but it reminded her of her doctor, and she didn't have the conversation she had, and she freed her up. This one was fascinating. I took picture through these power poles way across from a parking lot. This was at Cotahatchee, Gloria. I don't even think you can see it now. And I called it Cage Sunset. And, then I also saw the difference, and I went close up to the reeds, standing in the same spot, but looking at it differently. And somebody wrote back, and she said she saw the thing Cage Sunset, and she said, how could that be caged? I mean, sunset can't be caged. But then she started thinking about it, and it reminded her of her son who was in prison, I think for drug or something. But when released to the next picture, she realized that he has this inner beauty and strength, and that's not going to go anyplace. So it's amazing what we can get from pictures. I'm going to send you the 7 just steps for getting out of the funk. It all has to do with the camera. Then we're talking about, this is connecting with yourself. And this was from a chapter in a book that I have. And years back, and this will come in more next week, but I was teacher, never mind, you could read the story, I'll go into it next week. But how to be in the moment, stopping the mind chatter, and now you want to be prepared to it. But anyway, this I thought just found again today, I think is a really good piece. So I'm sending you that. The reflections I showed you, that was with the heart, and other reflections are all kinds of reflections in water and glass, and you can be looking at different kinds of reflections. I showed you that. Okay, and the red onion story, which I thought interesting. They're fascinating pictures when you cut onions. Red onions particularly are really very good. And by the way, that garlic was about 8 years or 9 years ago, and I still have it. I actually have a video if you don't, and it doesn't matter. And my thing with nature and doing these things is I got my master's in creative arts. I was doing fantasy landscape watercolors before the camera. I was collecting different pieces of wood, and I'll send the link to that too, and put them into fantasy landscape watercolors. So again, we can make stories of anything. They can be bad stories. Somebody says something and I made a story, nobody showed up, and you have all that story. But we can also take the different things and make fun stories of it. And then you can be sharing that with others, and what story do they see? Those kinds of stories are very non-threatening because it's imagination, and it's not adding to the reality. Okay, so that covered 4 weeks in less than a half hour. And it's what you can do with it. So, any questions?
Sounds good. I've got my assignments written down.
Okay. And I said, one of my videos said, there's nothing to learn, there's nothing to do. You don't have to.
Oh, things, my intentions. I think I'll try doing all these. It'll be fun.
Okay. Now, if anybody wants to, I set up the Facebook group. I don't know if anybody wants to share the photos in between. Would you like to be sharing photos
Sure.
on Facebook? Okay, so I think
That would be
you all-
fun.
Yeah, I think you all are in the group. Well, Gloria is not yet. I think everybody else did sign up for the group. And stories, comments, people will go in and comment and feedback. Not even feedback, share what they see and do what else.
Mm-hmm.
So I will email you the links I just said. I'll send them out. And then I'll actually put them up in files if I can in the group. So if you want to be, while you're there and you have a thought or something, it'll be right there. Okay, any other questions, comments? So if, what's what I said in the third week, but notice also between now and next week, if there are certain things that keep running around in your head, or if you had a particular conversation with your kids or something, and just jot them down. And we can talk about different ways in writing that you can handle that, and not sending them anything in writing, but just in your freeing up. And Deb and Suzanne have been in writing groups, lots of writing groups that we've been in and experienced that. And I do for others, have to say, and I don't know if you have this, I wrote a book, Writing for Self-Discovery, Creating Breakthroughs or something, I think, and they came out of, I had found 10 years of writing I had done 10 years ago. Well, actually, it's more than that now, in Julie's courses. Now, for me, and I'll talk about it next week, I can write long before Julie, very poetically. And it's when I'm in the moment writing, I look at some of the stuff I've written and I wrote that. If I sat down to write it, I never would have written it. But if we allow ourselves to just be with what comes up, it can be amazing what comes out. And Ute is nodding her head. She's experienced that. You want to share that, Ute?
Well, I'm just saying, you know, sometimes when I look back, I write on notes and all of this, and then I file it and whatever. But if I look back at some of them, I say, I didn't write that. Who wrote this? You know.
Yeah, I know.
And some of it I feel, this is so good. I don't think I can do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really true. It's you have to be. It's amazing. It's almost a subconscious, but it doesn't come all the time. You know.
Right.
And then it's also believing what other people might be writing and saying about you. I mean, I'm reminded when I'm talking about believing, I've read back when my husband died, I was very fortunate, notes that he had written me. We were in the mail days, not in the email. So, and he was in New York and I was in Philadelphia, and we were writing every day. And we were engaged 6 weeks after me. We met and married 3 months after that. But I'm blessed to have those notes. And even in the cards, he looked at me later and how wonderful I was. And it's like, if only I had believed. It's not that I didn't disbelieve it. I just didn't take it and own it. So start owning what people are telling you about yourself also. So I guess with those words is a good place to end. And
Good night.
good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, Sheila.
Yeah, thank you all for being here.
Thank
I'm
you.
See you
honored.
next week.